Carnival Cruise Lines once again navigating some troubled waters. One person missing after the cruise ship Triumph broke away from its mooring at an Alabama port yesterday, leaving a 20-foot gash in the hull. This is just the latest problem for the Triumph and the troubled cruise line. Mary Thompson reports.
It's been anything but fun for Carnival Cruise Lines these days. A ship adrift in the Gulf, passengers without toilets and running water, its Grand Turk Cruise Center closed for health reasons, and the loss of 32 lives after its Costa Concordia capsized off the coast of Italy last year. For Verizon's former president of communications, Denny Striegel, it spells disaster.
This is no small company. This is a company with about $15 billion market cap. 90,000 employees, 25 billion in sales a year. I'll tell you, this could really hurt this company if and when it catches up with the public that has booked cruises with Carnival.
But passengers keep coming. CEO of Cruise Planners Michelle Fee tells CNBC Carnival's bookings are down just slightly, a fact she attributes more to the company canceling cruises than customers backing out. Amid the mounting mishaps, investors backing out over the last 3 months, though maritime lawyer Jason Margulies points out the industry's self-insurance limits a disaster's impact on the bottom line.
Well, cruise lines generally are insured with protection and indemnification clubs. They have large deductibles on a per cruise basis, but that limits their liability beyond those deductibles.
A bigger cost may be to the firm's reputation. Even as he's built the world's biggest cruise line, CEO Mickey Arison stayed quiet as his ships and company drift.
This is an opportunity for a CEO to get front and center, to give his shareholders, to give his about 90,000 employees at Carnival and his customers some assurance that things are going to be okay.
Arison's public appearances, though, tied to his other business, the NBA's Miami Heat. He's been seen courtside at their games, not dockside, as crippled ships and disgruntled passengers sail in, causing some to question his stewardship. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Mary Thompson.
Looking at Carnival stock, Carnival Cruise Lines closed down 1.5% today. Looking year to date, Carnival has dropped almost 10%. Tyler?
And Carnival, Susie, is, of course, just one well-known company that is weathering some choppy waters. Jcpenney, much in the news. It's been in the midst of a sweeping and controversial revamp under the new CEO, Ron Johnson. And some investors have been voting with their feet. While the stock was up 4.5% today on an analyst upgrade, Jcpenney shares are down 23% since the beginning of the year. Meanwhile, the sportswear company, Lululemon, announced today its chief product officer is stepping down. The move follows a string of recent product complaints and a recall of yoga pants that were found to be too sheer. 3 companies with problems, big and small. So which CEO is handling the troubles properly and which is dropping the ball? Davia Temin is here to join us. She's the president and CEO of Temin & Company, a crisis management firm. Let's start where Mary Thompson left off, and that is with Carnival Cruise Lines. Has the CEO dropped the ball here by not being as present as some would have him be?
He's dropped it into the ocean. It is he's using some of the lessons he might have known from sports, where you go down, then you come right back up, and you don't necessarily have to acknowledge what's gone wrong. And he's applying them to a totally different industry, and he's not doing himself or his passengers any good.
But bookings took a slight hit. The stock is down a little, but not maybe as much as you would think, given all the things that company has been through. Is the proof in the pudding there, the proof in the numbers?
Yeah, but you know what? You never know when it's going to turn, and it can turn like that. And I think it's at the precipice to turn. So you watch those numbers, and I bet you that they're going to go down.
All right, let's turn then, while Susie gets some water in her throat here, to the question of Jcpenney. Here is a CEO whose career was in retailing of electronics products. He moves famously and lucratively to Jcpenney, which is a broad-line department store. His early moves haven't worked. He seems to be trying his best, but it doesn't seem to be working. What should he do?
So the question is, when do you keep on toughing it through, and when do you turn and do something else? He knows Apple customers very well, but they are arguably not Jcpenney. So how does he start to learn about who Jcpenney customers are? And has he done it? Has he not done that quickly enough?
I think the question for all of these CEOs is what is their obligation to their shareholders, their employees, and to their customers? I mean, they're looking for reassurances from their CEO. What do you think?
Yeah. The CEOs seem to be in denial as opposed to stepping up to the plate and coming out with positive statements that the customer comes first, the passenger comes first. We put that before anyone else, and as well as our employees, and I'm not hearing that too much.
Let's talk about Lululemon. They had the famous product issues with the pants that were too sheer. Today, they sacked, apparently, the chief product officer out there. Is that an example of a company that is doing the right things and moving swiftly to hold someone accountable and to make the changes that are called for?
Yes, it is. And they had some problems before about bright
this was
colors.
not the first.
It's not the first. So they toughed it out for the first, but then seeing this, then she moves, Christine Day, and I think she did the right thing.
I want to ask you, going back to Carnival, you know, when you think of companies that have a product problem, in this case, it's these huge ships, do they do a recall?
Well, they surely do a refit. And they surely compensate people a little bit better than they have done. I think they have to show that they're on the passenger side a little bit more than they've been showing it. Because eventually it's going to come back and bite.
Because you're talking about a safety issue here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about safety, and you're talking about physical health if it's the gastroenteritis from norovirus.
You know, what's an interesting thing? Compare the response there at Carnival to what's happened, and it was government involvement here with Boeing and the Dreamliner. Should Carnival just shut down for a week and say, we're bringing all our ships into port and we're going to check them out and make sure they're safe?
Yeah, because your safety, dear passenger, is more important to us than our bottom line.
So maybe that's the way they should have gone. So you're critical of Arison. He wasn't out there enough. He was paying too much attention to LeBron, maybe.
Yeah.
You give A grade to Lululemon and maybe sort of an incomplete to Jcpenney?
Jcpenney's yet to be seen. They've got the opportunity to turn it around, but we'll see how quickly they move.
All right.
Okay.
Davia, nice to see you again.
Nice to see
Davia
you.
Temin.
Very good.